The Kryn Alpha stood at the edge of the human military compound, his silver fur bristling with uncertainty. Behind him, 3 cubs, no older than 7 cycles, huddled together, their large amber eyes reflecting the strange metal structures of the Terran outpost. "You understand our desperation," the Alpha rumbled, his translator device crackling. "The plague has taken our caretakers. Our world burns. I must lead the evacuation fleet, but the cubs? They cannot survive the journey through quarantine zones." Sergeant Elena stepped forward, her boots crunching on the red soil of Kryn IV. She was compact, efficient, with dark hair pulled into a regulation bun and eyes that had seen too many wars. Beside her, Corporal Adam, tall, broad-shouldered, with an easy smile that seemed out of place on a battlefield, knelt to the cubs' level. "Sir," Adam said, addressing the Alpha, "we'll keep them safe. You have my word." The Alpha's ears flattened. Humans were still new to the Galactic Coalition, barely 2 generations since first contact. They were known as warriors, brutal, efficient, terrifyingly creative in combat. But caretakers? The galaxy whispered different stories about humanity, stories of violence and conquest. Yet desperation makes allies of strangers. 30 rotations, the Alpha said firmly. "I will return in 30 rotations." When the Alpha's ship disappeared into the crimson sky, Elena turned to find 3 terrified alien cubs in a compound full of soldiers, who knew more about demolitions than daycare. "Right," she said, hands on hips. "Meeting now." The first rotation was chaos. The cubs, Rika, Men, and little Sorla, refused to eat human rations, howled through the night cycle, and cowered whenever a soldier approached. Sorla, the smallest, wouldn't stop trembling. "They're traumatized," Adam observed, sitting cross-legged near their makeshift den in the storage bay. "Wouldn't you be? Everything they knew is gone." Elena watched him slowly extend a hand, letting Sorla sniff his fingers. The cub's nose twitched. Then she pressed her furry head against his palm. "We need structure," Elena decided. "Routine. That's what kids need, right? Stability." Adam grinned. "Sergeant, are you suggesting we run a boot camp for alien cubs?" "I'm suggesting," she said carefully, "that we give them something to focus on besides fear." By the 5th rotation, the compound had transformed. Elena established a schedule. Wake up at 600, breakfast, lessons, physical training, lunch, recreational activities, dinner, stories, sleep. The cubs responded to the rhythm like flowers to sunlight. Adam discovered that Rika, the eldest, was fascinated by human technology. He spent hours teaching her about basic engineering, watching her eyes widen as she learned to operate a datapad. Men, the middle cub, was a born athlete. Lieutenant Chen started teaching him parkour courses through the obstacle training grounds. The young Kryn's natural agility combined with human creative movement made him unstoppable. Sorla attached herself to Elena like a shadow. The sergeant found herself reading Earth stories to the cub each night, tales of heroes and adventure, of courage in the face of darkness. "Why do humans always fight?" Sorla asked one evening, her voice a soft chirp through the translator. Elena considered the question. "Because some things are worth fighting for. Family, friends, those who can't fight for themselves." "Like us?" "Like you." By rotation 15, something remarkable happened. Private Morrison was running morning drills when he noticed 3 small figures at the edge of the parade ground. The cubs sat in a perfect line, watching intently. When the soldiers marched, the cubs' heads moved in sync. When the soldiers turned, the cubs leaned. "They want to join," Adam said, appearing at Elena's shoulder. "They're children. They're cubs who've lost everything except what we give them." He paused. Structure, purpose, belonging. Elena made a decision that would ripple across the galaxy. "All right," she announced to her platoon. "We've got 3 recruits, modified training protocols, no weapons, no combat scenarios, just discipline, teamwork, and confidence building." The soldiers embraced the challenge with surprising enthusiasm. These warriors, trained to destroy, discovered a different strength, the ability to build up instead of tear down. Sergeant Hayes taught the cubs about unit cohesion. You're only as strong as your weakest link, so you lift each other up. Corporal Jackson introduced them to human music, marching cadences that the cubs howled along to in their own harmonic way. Chef Rodriguez involved them in meal preparation, teaching patience and precision. The cubs flourished. Rotation 30 arrived with shocking speed. The Alpha's ship descended through the atmosphere. and the entire compound assembled on the parade ground. Elena's stomach knotted with anxiety. Had they done right by these children? Had they imposed too much human culture on them? The Alpha emerged, flanked by Kryn officials and several Galactic Coalition observers. He stopped dead, ears pricked forward. On the parade ground, 3 cubs stood at attention in the front rank of human soldiers. "Platoon!" Elena's voice cracked across the field. "Present arms!" In perfect synchronization, soldiers and cubs saluted. Then, to a cadence called by Private Morrison, they marched. Not a human march with alien followers. A true integrated unit, each member's strengths complementing the others. Rika demonstrated the field radio she'd helped repair. Men executed a flawless obstacle course run that drew cheers from the soldiers. Sorla stood before the assembly and recited in flawless galactic common the human military values: loyalty, duty, respect, honor, integrity, personal courage. The Alpha's translator couldn't capture the sound he made, something between a gasp and a sob. When the cubs rushed to their Alpha, they moved with confidence. They embraced him fiercely, but they weren't the same terrified children he'd left behind. "What did you do to them?" The Alpha whispered, watching Sorla stand tall, watching Rika explain complex tech to a coalition observer, watching men execute a perfect salute. Adam stepped forward. "We gave them what humans give their own young: structure, purpose, and the knowledge that they're capable of extraordinary things." Elena added softly, "We treated them like they mattered, because they do." The Alpha looked at this human sergeant, this warrior species barely accepted into galactic civilization, and understood something profound. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their creativity in war. It was their capacity to turn strangers into family, to build up instead of tear down, to see potential instead of limitations. "The galaxy fears you," the Alpha said. "They call you warmongers." "We are warriors," Elena agreed. "But that's not all we are." As the cubs prepared to depart, they insisted on one final formation. 3 small aliens and 40 human soldiers marched together one last time, and the Galactic Coalition observers recorded every moment. The footage would spread across 1,000 worlds, proof that humanity's fierceness extended beyond the battlefield into something far more dangerous to the galaxy's old hierarchies: the radical belief that everyone, regardless of origin, deserved dignity, training, and a chance to become their best selves. The cubs left marching in formation, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again.